Hey everyone, I'm your astrologer Brittany of Ethereal Astrology, helping you to see the larger story of your life with horoscopes that emphasize the cycles of the moon and the slower moving planets. Today, you're watching your astrology horoscope for the collective for the new moon in the sign of Aquarius, which occurs on Wednesday, January 29th, 2025 at 7:35 a.m. Eastern Time or 4:35 a.m. Pacific Time, depending upon where you live. Now, what I think is going on here at this new moon in Aquarius is that we're trying to get to some really new, different, and better experience of life that we've been trying to get to since 2020, and we're kind of there, but still not quite. Just a little something's missing here, kind of leaving us at a complete loss, and us realizing from this kind of place of desperation of being unsure of what to do that we need to try something radically different or very different than what we've tried before in order to get to this different place here, which I think is actually a different approach where we rest, kind of take it easy, don't try too hard, and where we listen more to our emotions, our heart, and are more compassionate here to ourselves and others, which I think is going to be just what we need. Especially once we adopt this approach more permanently to get our life going in a better way. So that's what we're going to talk about today. If you want to hear more about that, please do stay tuned because we're going to talk about it right now. Now, in order to get started, what I like to do first is, of course, place on the chart what it is that I'm referring to so that you can see it and follow along with me. So let me do that now. I have adjusted this chart for the actual event of that new moon in Aquarius. I know that because I've got the moon and the sun here at the same exact degree and the same exact sign. And when the moon and the sun are together like this, that is what is considered here a new moon. And of course, it's in the sign of Aquarius because that's where they both are. Okay, what are new moons all about? Now, to give you a more general sense of what's happening here. New moons are all about new beginnings, new energy here, and fresh starts, since they are the beginning of a new lunar cycle or a new lunar month. Okay, what are we getting? A new beginning or a new energy or a fresh start in Aquarius, because that's where both of these things are. What is Aquarius about here? Well, one of the things Aquarius is about our thoughts and ideas, because it is an air sign, which does tend to be a lot about the mind here that's going on. So one of the things meant to happen at this new moon in Aquarius is for us to get a new ideas, new thoughts, new perspectives here, or a fresh mental approach here to our situation. Not only that, but Aquarius also does tend to be about things that are unique or different, or things that maybe we haven't tried before here as well, that are innovative, revolutionary in some sort of way. So not only at this new moon in Aquarius are we just trying to get new ideas, new perspectives, but unique ideas that maybe we haven't tried before here when it comes to our situation. And not only that, but another thing that Aquarius has to do with is a lot about detaching from things that aren't working for us or aren't in alignment for us, or breaking free from those things as well that's going on. And maybe that's more why Aquarius is an air sign. You know, it's just like letting things be easy breezy and flow and not getting caught up in stuff here that's going on. So I think that's another thing that's trying to happen here at this new moon. New, unique ideas and perspectives and approaches to our life, and breaking free from anything that's in the way of those new approaches, or not where we want to be. Not only that, but another thing too that I consider about Aquarius as well is about our authentic self here, and trying to tap more into that as well. So that's another theme here. New ideas that are unique and alignment with our authentic selves, and breaking free from things that aren't supportive of that. Okay, another thought here too is that Aquarius is a lot about the future as well, and our goals and dreams for the future, or things that we might be moving towards as well. So in addition to us getting new, unique thoughts, ideas, perspectives that are more authentic to us without these other things holding us down and maybe breaking free from those, but it's also about us as well getting different ideas about our future, what's possible for our life, you know, and what's out there, or having different goals, dreams, and ideas about what we ultimately want to create here in our life. Not only that, but another thought here too is that Aquarius does typically have to do with friend groups or just socializing in some sort of way as well. And I think tends to, in a lot of ways, have to do with that, because a lot of times when we are with our friend groups or socializing, we're able to get different feedback about our experience, which can give us different perspectives. And it also helps us to detach from our situations going on so that we're not so worried about them and can get these different perspectives here as well. So I think that's how they're related, which may also be some things that are coming up here too at this new moon in Aquarius. Maybe to bring that together before I add more on top of it, at this new moon in Aquarius, we are trying to get new, unique ideas, thoughts, and perspectives about our life, our future, our goals and dreams, what's possible for it that's more authentic to ourselves here, and break free from anything standing in our way, and maybe spend some time socializing or with friends to get these different ideas and perspectives in order for us to do that. Okay, now, before I move forward in time to give you more specifics here about this new moon in Aquarius and go way more into detail about what's happening here in the aspects, I do like to zoom out for a minute, if you know me, and go back in time here before I go forward in time. And I like to go back in time to give you more of the context here in the astrological alignments that led specifically to this new moon in Aquarius, because I think that's the context in the past alignments that have a huge effect on what's currently happening and on how it plays out, since there is a new moon in Aquarius that does happen every year. It's the alignments leading up to it that make it different. So I'm going to go into that now. This can be a bit long, so if you're not interested in that, totally cool. I've got timestamps for you in the description box so that you can easily skip past this section and get right into the new moon in Aquarius. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and start. I like to start back, of course, with an alignment that was a while ago now. What is it? Almost 5 years ago, January to April, roughly, of 2020. Around that time, we had a rare and difficult alignment occur, and that was Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn in the South Node all came conjunct right around here to the middle late degrees of Capricorn. That's a very rare alignment because Saturn and Pluto only come conjunct every 35 years, and not always with Jupiter there or the South Node. Okay, not only is it a rare alignment, but it's a difficult alignment because Saturn and Pluto do tend to be a little bit more of a challenge, being somewhat of outer planets here. The South Node is also difficult about things we need to maybe let go of, and Jupiter as well was in Capricorn, a sign it just doesn't like to be in, and therefore wasn't functioning that well. And so very rare, difficult alignment only occurs about every 35 years, but potentially even longer than that here. Hey, what was the rare difficulty that we were experiencing? Well, Saturn and Pluto, especially Saturn, can indicate a stuck energy, right? Just feeling stuck in our lives, especially in Capricorn, the direction that it's going or has been going for a very long time, like 35 years. And Pluto can indicate a desire to make a big change to overcome things that have been going on for 35 years, because either we just didn't like what's been happening the whole past of the 35 years, or we did at one point, but we just simply had outgrown it, right? That's normal. People grow, people change here, and we needed to make endings, Pluto, especially the South Node, about endings in order to get rid of that stuff. So in 2020, we started to make big, especially with Jupiter there, sweeping endings here, the changes to get rid of things in our life that may have been going on for many, many, many years because we didn't like it anymore. Okay, which was pretty hard. That then leads me now to the next alignment I'm going to mention. Fast forward now about 2 years to April of 2022. Around April of 2022, we had a solar eclipse here on the North Node. It was a new moon here in the sign of Taurus. Okay, what is that about? Well, new moons are about new beginnings. Solar eclipses superpower that here, and I did tend to like this one and think it was positive because it was on the North Node, which is more helpful towards our purpose. What was the good thing going on here that was super big, super powered here? Well, Taurus is about fertility and abundance. Here it's also about just feeling a little bit more secure here in our situation in a new or a different way, with it being a new moon. Okay, so what I think happened in April of 2022 is that we started to feel like we had ended enough stuff in our life in the past 2 years that wasn't working for us, that we were in a little bit of a different place and a better place from which to grow in a more fertile and abundant way and do new and different things after this point that were more in alignment with ourselves. Okay, that then leads me now to the next alignment that I want to mention, which occurred about 2 weeks after that, somewhere also around April of 2022. And that was going to be a full moon lunar eclipse in the opposite sign over here on the south node at the time in Scorpio. Okay, what was that about? Well, that was a little bit more challenging, maybe because it was a full moon. Sometimes those can be more difficult, but especially because it was on the south node. The south node tends to be more difficult because it's really about things that we're stuck in that are no longer useful for us at this time. Okay, so that's hard and that we need to let go of. Okay, what were the things that maybe we were stuck in that were preventing us from moving forward, especially on that new beginning, that fruitful new beginning we just had? Well, those are Scorpio traits. Not because Scorpio is a bad sign, just because the South Node was there at that time, okay, which tends to bring out more of the negative traits. Okay, Scorpio, when negative, can bring difficulty with money, since it is a sign that has to do with our finances. Here we could have had difficulty with money, maybe some debts that we were really having trouble paying off, especially if over the course of the 2 years prior we had made some endings like in our finances, so we might still have some difficulty here making ends meet financially after what had gone on in the previous years. Not only that, but Scorpio as well is a sign of change, since it does correlate to Pluto. So we can also have a problem stopping making change, right? Because that had been a huge thing that we'd been doing for almost 2 years, 2021 here, making change to end stuff. So we can also still be in this habit of like, I got to make change. And of course, there's a lot of debt maybe that might have racked up from that change. That's also hard here for us to stop, and that we need to stop too, right? And the reason why, maybe to bring that together, the reason why we need to stop making changes is because change is good for tearing things down, but when you want to build something new that's fruitful and abundant, something needs to stick. Something kind of needs to stick and gel a little bit, and we kind of need the money to do it. Not only that, but Scorpio too can also be about emotions, being a water sign, and sometimes too can bring up trauma or traumatic emotions here as well. That's coming up. And we also could have had a lot of those still left over clearly from the past 2 years, if there'd been a lot of debt and change and endings and all of that. That was also very hard for us to figure out how to work with and how to let go of. And of course, we needed to let go of those negative emotions, because it's hard to build something new and better if you're constantly feeling still sad and bad about the past. Okay. Not only that, but another thing too, Scorpio is a lot about relationships, especially very deep, intimate, close relationships, financially or otherwise, that we might have also been a little too intertwined with, especially ones that are just not in our favor here as well, that we also still needed to more fully break free from or get rid of or let go of here as well, because when you're building something new, you want the right people on board, and you need some time to yourself to figure some things out. Okay, so that's what we were trying to do then, maybe to bring that together here. Also in April of 2022 is to let go of some of these negative, some of these unhelpful, maybe I'll say at the time, habits that were in the way of us moving forward on some new beginning. Okay, because if we persisted in those things, they were going to keep us stuck. And if I can be honest with you, I think it took us a while, almost an entire year, for us to fully kind of work through some of those challenges here that were holding us back. They were holding us back from moving forward. It wasn't until the following year, also somewhere around April of 2023, that we finally started to get it together. And in April of 2023, we had another alignment. It was a new moon solar eclipse on the North Node, except this time in the sign of Aries. Okay, after I need to note some other significant things happened. Pluto briefly left Capricorn and was in Aquarius for the first time. Saturn left Aquarius and was in Pisces. Okay, what was that about? Well, maybe I'll start with the eclipse. New moon, solar eclipse. New moons are about new beginnings. Solar eclipse is superpower. That Aries too is the first sign of the zodiac. here. So new beginnings away from some of these traits that were keeping us stuck, right? Which was the too much change, the challenging emotions, the debt in the relationships. It was us kind of resolving that, so that we could feel like new, different, better. Here that's going on. Not only that, but Pluto and Saturn changing signs. These are somewhat slower moving planets, and when slower moving planets change signs, they indicate big shifts in our life and in the story of our lives here as well, because they don't really happen as often as some of the other planets change signs. So this can also indicate us trying again to get to a very different experience of life since 2020. Trying again, I think, for maybe a second time, especially after the previous year, to be able to move forward into some sort of fertile new beginning after having learned some lessons in the year prior. Okay, so that's what we did then. That then leads me now to the next alignment I want to mention, which was just a month or two after that. The dates are a little fuzzy, but I think it was somewhere around May of 2023. What happened in May of 2023 here is that we had Venus. We had Venus start to go retrograde here in the sign of Leo. You know, this was a little bit challenging because it's a planet going retrograde, which is not a direction that's natural to it here. Not only is it a little bit of a challenge, but it does also indicate another slow energy or stuck energy with some unhelpful habits that are not really where we need to be here, because again, retrograde it's literally not moving forward, it's going backwards here, which is a little bit hard for us. Hey, what is it that was keeping us stuck or moving backwards or just not forward where we want to be going into a new experience? Well, I think that was the Leo traits here that we weren't really tapping into fully enough, because why else would Venus need to go retrograde there? Hey, what is Leo about? Leo is about happiness. It's about fun. It's about joy. It's about passion, being a fire sign, boldness and courage here. That was going on. And I just don't think that we were fully tapped into that, especially with Pluto back into Capricorn around that time. We're still kind of stuck in a little bit of emergency mode here that's going on. And that's, and I think the reason why we were still having problems being happy is because, remember, we had a lot of traumatic emotions from the past few years. And even though I think we'd kind of taken the edge off of the trauma, I think being happy is a step too far. Being like super happy and fun and bold is like a little step too far for us at that time for us to do. So I think we are struggling with that. Not only that, but I think being happy and having fun is necessary, because this new chapter in life we've been trying to get to for a while is meant to be a fun one, right? And it's meant to be a better one. And something's not better unless it's like more fun and happy and fulfilling. So I think that's also why that was super important here. That we just weren't able to get to. Okay, so that was hard. Stuck again because we aren't able to have fun and be happy and honor our heart in a different experience here, and stuck again for a different reason than the year prior. That then leads me to the next alignment I want to mention, maybe about 2 months after that, July of 2023. In July of 2023, we had Pluto back in Capricorn here, making a square to the nodal axis, which at that time was at the very last degree of Libra and the very last degree of Aries, right around here. So let's do this in July of 2023. What is that all about? Well, Pluto's about change and transformation here that's going on. Not a lot of change, but just like one significant change or transformation that was needed here, that maybe we were kind of avoiding doing with the square to the nodes, that we really needed to do and needed to make here, and needed to make a choice to. Sometimes squares to the nodes can indicate choices, and needed to make in order to value more of our heart and let ourselves kind of have fun and be happy in coordination with that Venus retrograde here in Leo. So in July of 2023, I think we realized I gotta make at least one big significant change here in order to be happy and have fun, because I'm still not there, and to maybe let go of some things that were in the way of that. Okay, and I think we did that, and I think that took us a few months to do. I think it, almost a year. I think it wasn't really until April of that next year that we started to figure things out here of 2024, April of 2024. Okay, that was important for a few reasons. April is important of most years because that's Aries season. It's the beginning of the astrological new year. So that's why a lot of these dates follow April. And it's also important because in April of 2024, we had another just kind of unique alignment that doesn't happen too often, just occur around that same time, which was Jupiter conjunct Uranus here in the sign of Taurus at that time. Okay, what was that really all about? Well, I considered it to be a little bit more of a helpful thing because Jupiter was involved. Being a planet of gifts and good luck, Uranus can indicate it being a little sudden and unexpected. Here in Taurus, can bring a little bit more stability about our situation and security. It can also make us, it's also a sign of fertility and abundance, being an earth sign. Here, make us feel more able to kind of start again. Here, it's also about our value systems and what's important to us, and maybe even some things with our skills and talents or with money. So in April of 2024, I think that we had made some changes, right, in the months prior to honor more of our heart and to be happy. And that was suddenly and unexpectedly starting to make us feel a bit better, a bit more solid in our experience, and a bit more able to try again, maybe to manifest a new, different, and better experience of life for the third time here that's going on with a little bit of good luck in order for that to happen. Okay, that now leads me to the next alignment. So I want to mention the next alignments I'm going to mention are going to be all the lunar months since we're still on that astrological year. So I'm going to go through those. Okay, and I want to start with that next new moon after that alignment, which was going to be here somewhere in June of 2024. We had a new moon in the sign of Gemini. New moons are all about new beginnings, new energy, fresh starts. Gemini is an air sign, twins, about ideas, options, and multiple of them. So I think in June of this past year, 2024, we started to have a lot of new ideas now about what we could do next to move our life forward into a new, different, and better experience that we've been trying to get to for quite some time, that we're trying to figure out what to choose from. That then leads me on the next new moon. July of this past year, 2024, we had a new moon here in the sign of Cancer. New moons are about new beginnings. Cancer is a lot about things feeling more grounded and more solid and more secure. And I think in that ways can be very shrewd, if you will, about what will work or what won't here. And I think what happened around that new moon in Cancer with some other things going on in the astrology in July of 2024 is that we realized, yeah, we have a lot of options of what we can do next to move forward into a new and better experience, but we're not sure which one is the best one to pursue. And we're not sure which one's going to really give us the best foundation from which to move forward, and are having difficulty kind of like making a decision, or the correct decision, and figuring that out, making us feel a little stuck or torn here, moving side to side like the crab and not forward. And that then leads me now to the next new moon, which happened about a month later, August of this year, 24 in Leo. New moons about new beginnings. Leo's a lot about our happiness, joy, our heart, fun, all of that. It also was connecting very well with the North Node at the time in Aries, about doing things in easier, quicker, and shorter ways. So I think what happened in August of this past year is that we realized that the option that we needed to choose in order to move forward into a different experience is the option that was the most happy, the most fun, that kind of lit our heart up the most here, and was easier and quicker for us to do and take action on. And that then leads me now to the next new moon a month later, September of last year in Virgo. New moons are about new beginnings. Virgo is a lot about fixing things, cleaning up things, organizing things. And I think this is a lot of internal fixing things here. Not only that, but Virgo also has a lot to do with guilt and shame, and Mercury was retrograde in Virgo around that time here as well. So I think what we realized in September of last year is that, yeah, we need to do the happy fun option in our lives in order to move it forward into a different experience, but that we have a lot of guilt and shame around having fun here, that we needed to more fully heal or fix or resolve internally before moving onwards, which we started to do. That then leads me now to the next lunar month, a month later, October of last year, 2024. It was a new moon solar eclipse on the South Node in Libra. Yes, new moons are about new beginnings, but it was on the South Node, really about letting things go. So like a fresh start to let things go. Here, Libra can be about overthinking or hesitating. It can also be about like people pleasing or wanting other people's approval, or things of that sort. So I think we realized in October that not only did we need to let go of guilt and shame around having fun and doing what we love, but that we also need to let go around hesitation around doing this. And we also needed to let go of people pleasing or holding ourselves back or overthinking around this as well, that we then started to do. That then leads me now to the next new moon, a month later, November of 2024, in the sign of Scorpio. New moon's about new beginnings. Scorpio is about permanent change and transformation, to say like more fully embody something. So I think in November of last year, we started to more fully embody happiness, joy, following our heart, doing more of those things, letting life be easier, and to take some action here with some of that stuff here in order to move things forward. And that then leads me now to December of last year, just recently, 2024. It was a new moon in Sagittarius. New moons are about new beginnings. Sagittarius is about hope and faith and optimism here that was going on. So I think in December of 2024, that's what we were trying to do. We were trying to keep the faith that what we're doing, that shorter, easier, quicker, more in alignment with our heart, will eventually work. It will eventually work, because I don't think we were seeing the results of that coming right away. And that then leads me now to the next alignment, or the next new moon, January here of this year now. So that was that's still this month, just a few weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, January, right around here. I think that new moon might have actually been the last day of December, but you get where I'm going here. We had that next new moon in Capricorn, which was recent. New moons are about new beginnings. Capricorn is about the direction here that our life is going in a lot of ways, and about us trying to shift that, with it being a cardinal sign, trying to really, I think, see that shift more or do more things in order to really shift that, which, if I can be honest, after that full moon in Cancer 2 weeks ago, I don't think was quite working out as well or as fast as we might like, especially with Capricorn being Saturn ruled, a very slow sign. Okay, and because we're trying to see more things shift in our lives, but it hasn't really worked out quite yet in the way you might like, it's very, very slow happening, even though I do think it is happening. We now get to this new moon in Aquarius, which this video is for. So January here, where we're trying to just let go. I think detach from outcomes, maybe even detach from old ideas, old perspectives, maybe even just more old situations that aren't working for us, and get a totally new way of thinking about what is happening in our lives and where we're going, and what unique approach we could get to kind of move things forward that maybe we haven't already, that will give us a better vision of our future. And that's it. So I'm going to say, maybe to summarize that here, to kind of bring that together before we move on, is I've been trying to get to a new, different, and better experience of life in various ways since 2020. It's been kind of slow goings, like stop and start here, because we've had a lot of just perspectives we needed to change, and things we've needed to let go of, and things we've needed to heal in order to really move forward. And we're starting to finally figure things out of what we need to do in order to move forward here, to get things moving, which is to really have fun and kind of let life be easy. But I think we're still struggling because it hasn't fully manifested yet, this new experience in the way that we might like, which is making us a bit uneasy. Okay, so that's what I'm going to say there. Okay, because that's it, I'm now just going to go ahead and I'm going to hop into this new moon itself and give you more of the details about that. So let's do that. In order to zoom into this new moon, I'm just going to place it here on the chart briefly one more time so that we all know what we're referring to. Here's that new moon in Aquarius. And again, that new moon in Aquarius, to connect it to the very beginning of this video, is about us trying to detach from things that are keeping us stuck and get just new ideas and perspectives on our life and how to handle it in our future that's very different, and to kind of socialize and get out and about in order to kind of shake up our perspective here that's happening. Okay. And I think it's these new perspectives that we're getting are on how to move our life forward, that we want to get on how to move our life forward so that we're not stuck since 2020. Okay. Now I want to look at an alignment here. One of the significant alignments here that this new moon itself is making is a trine over here to Jupiter in the sign of Gemini. Okay, now this, I want to say is not my favorite alignment. This is not my favorite alignment because we have Jupiter here in the sign of Gemini, a sign it just doesn't do that well in. It doesn't really like to be in. And because it doesn't like to be in, it just doesn't function in the best way that it potentially could. So I don't really care for this alignment. But even though I don't really care for this alignment, it's not as bad as some of the others here that's going on, because Jupiter still has this, more experimental, optimistic vibe to it here. So when I'm going to interpret it, sure, I'll mention some good things maybe about it here, but I'll also mention some of the difficult things about it too. I'll give you a little bit of both. What might be some of the good things first? Both of these things are air signs, okay? Aquarius and Gemini. Both of them do like to kind of be a little detached in that way, right? Air kind of flows, doesn't get too stuck in anything. Both of them are a little detached, which in some ways is helpful, and in some ways is what we're trying to do. They're also, again, both being air signs in the mind of like trying to consider new ideas and new perspectives about our life and about what will get our life unstuck and about what will move our lives forward here in the way that it is that we really need, right? And are trying to let go of, maybe another way to put it, of like outcomes and potentials. Like I feel the air signs are more open-minded, right? Again, it comes with that detached intellect here about it too. So I think there's that. Jupiter also being a very big planet can kind of expand that energy here that's going on. A lot of thinking, a lot of thinking here about like how we can let go of things in our situation that are emotional, that are bringing us down, that are sad, and a lot of thinking about just new and different ways of thinking about life, going about life, and all of that here too. And this can even indicate just a lot of talking with people about that as well. Okay, but even though this can bring like us detaching more from anything that's kind of challenging in our lives, and a lot of thinking and trying to get different ideas and different perspectives, there is a problem here. And again, that's with Jupiter and Gemini. Jupiter is the planet of wisdom and understanding, and really of critical thinking and of synthesizing information. That to me is what Jupiter is about. And it has problems doing that, forming wisdom and synthesizing information when it's in the sign of Gemini. And that's because Gemini is a lot about facts and information. And information is not the same as wisdom. You can have a lot of facts, but not know how to put them together. And that's a lot of times what happens when Jupiter is in the sign of Gemini. We have a lot of ideas. We have a lot of thoughts. They may be very cool thoughts. They may be very interesting thoughts, okay? But we really have problems trying to put these ideas together in order to mean something useful in our situation, and either don't make anything kind of meaningful from all these ideas and facts, or if we do start to make judgments based on these ideas, they tend to be the wrong ones when Jupiter's there. It's like we're putting 2 and 2 together, but instead of 2 and 2 equaling 4, it equals 5, or it equals something else than what it is here that's going on. That can just be a little annoying. Here. Not only that, but again, with Jupiter being such a big planet, it can also create, an overthinking or over ideas. So what I want to say here, maybe about now to bring this together, is at this new moon in Aquarius, we're really trying to detach, I think, from a lot of things in our life that we just don't have answers to, or just feel stuck in, or that just can't figure out here, and trying to get unique ideas and perspectives that are really going to get our situation moving. And we're doing a lot of thinking and talking about this with ourselves and others about how we can detach from these things and about different ideas we can get to move forward. And we are coming up with a lot of ideas, and we are having a lot of conversations, and we are starting to detach from a lot of struggles that we've had. But even though we're having a lot of ideas, thoughts, and conversations about what we can do and different ideas and different perspectives to loosen up, it's just not adding up to much. We're just not really getting the correct answers about what to do to really move our situation forward, even though maybe there's a lot of thoughts and conversations, right? Do you see that's going on? That can just keep us too much in the head, or just leave us uncertain about what to do next, or thinking we've got a good idea when we don't. Okay, that then leads me now to the next alignment that I want to mention, which is happening around this new moon in Aquarius, which is going to be here. Mercury is in Aquarius here, making a conjunction with Pluto at the same time of this new moon here, within degrees of it. This to me is also a bit of a challenging alignment here. This is a challenging alignment because it's a personal planet conjunct Pluto, and Pluto to me does tend to be a bit difficult here because it's an outer planet that's further from where we live, and therefore harder for us to understand. So hard for us to understand. Some of us don't even consider it a planet, here that's going on. So I think it can be a little bit of a challenge here. What is the difficulty? Well, Pluto does tend to bring a lot of deep feeling and deep emotion here from the subconscious to the surface. That can be a little bit hard here. Not only that, but it can also indicate us being stuck as well in things, because Pluto wants change and transformation. That's what it's about, in order for us to progress. But before we change and transform, a lot of times there's a lot of resistances that come up, which a lot of times can be the result of emotion, subconscious emotion here too. That can be hard, and it's connecting with Mercury here in the sign of Aquarius, which is very interesting because that's kind of what we've been talking about. The new moon's in Aquarius, and it's connecting with Jupiter and Gemini, a Mercury ruled sign here that's going on. And Mercury is a lot about our thoughts. It's a lot about our ideas, and Pluto's going to bring too much stuck too much in these thoughts and ideas. So this is another indicator, if you weren't already clear with the last things I've mentioned here so far for this new moon. This to me is also another indicator here, and third indicator of the chart. So many thoughts here, and so many conversations, and so many different ideas, information, and trying to detach that may just go a little overboard. So many ideas and thoughts that we're overthinking or having difficulty with that. And I like to see a repeating theme when I'm doing horoscopes, because it means that I'm onto something. Not only that, but this can also indicate too that even though we are doing a lot of thinking and having a lot of thoughts, that there may be some subconscious emotion that is crowding out the logic that we may not be seeing here that's going on. Or if not subconscious emotion crowding out some of the logic that might also take things in a weird direction, this can also start to indicate more negative thinking as well, or more fear-based thinking that can occur, or some sort of worry that can also start to creep in as well, because change is scary. Change is scary here that's going on. Doing things different is a little scary as well. So what this means to me, to continue bringing it together here, is that, yeah, this new moon in Aquarius, we're trying to detach from anything in our life that seems stuck, that's still not working out, or that's just taken a while to work out, and just do other things, or just starting to get unique perspectives on it, on how to kind of move these things forward so that we don't stay stuck anymore. And I think we are doing a lot of thinking and talking in order to figure this out. And we are doing a lot of detaching here that's going on. And we are getting a lot of ideas, but I think that these ideas that we're getting about how to kind of think about our situation differently, there's either too many of them, or they just feel overwhelming, that we're having a really hard time figuring out how to put these ideas together, or which one idea to hone in on that's really going to help our situation to kind of move it forward more, which is just making us feel all over the place, scattered, maybe even uncertain, and maybe starting to bring up anxiety or doubt or worry, or some sort of negative subconscious emotion here about our situation that's going on. Okay, that can feel uncomfortable. That then leads me now to the next alignment that I want to mention, which is going to be here with this Mercury conjunct Pluto at the same time that's happening. It's also coming off of a trine here a little bit to the South Node, which just recently entered Virgo here as well. The South Node also tends to pull us, tends to be habits and traits that we're kind of stuck in, that we do a lot, that are also unhelpful and not what we need to be cultivating at this time. It's in Virgo, also Mercury ruled here. So, a Mercury ruled sign, right? We've got two things in Mercury ruled signs are not good here. That's going on. So this is another indicator of either super detached, or not just super detached, just like so many ideas and thoughts that we just can't see the forest for the trees on, and that these thoughts and these ideas are just driving us wild. Not only that, but Virgo can also indicate, especially with the South Node, they're indicating things we're stuck in that are unhelpful. And again, whatever sign the South Node is in, I tend to interpret in a more difficult, negative way. This can bring also, Virgo can tend to be extra critical, hypercritical of things here. a little too overthinking or a little too practical or negative about stuff. And it can also be a sign of like having to work hard to kind of like prove ourselves or do more than we need to, since it's about our habits and routines in order to move the situation forward. So not only at this new moon in Aquarius, right, are we trying to kind of detach from anything that's stuck or not working out in our lives and just chill and get different perspectives here in our life. Not only are we trying to do that, and in some ways it is working. We're getting a lot of different ideas, a lot of different thoughts about what we could do to move our lives forward. These thoughts are becoming too big, too much, too many, that we don't know which one to choose, or choosing the wrong ones. That is making us feel a little uncertain, a little uneasy, and throwing us back into maybe some negativity or some doubt about our situation, and making us extra critical of every single idea that we have, and feel like we need to work harder to move our situation forward or prove ourselves more or just do more to make things happen, which is really the opposite of letting go, right? And detaching, the opposite of detaching. Right? Detaching is letting go in some way, and the Virgo is like making us feel like we have to do more to make our situation be what we want it to be here, which is not the best. Okay, that then leads me now to the next alignment that I want to mention here. It's going to be Mars still retrograde in the sign of Cancer, coming into a square here with Chiron in the sign of Aries. This is also difficult. A square is a hard aspect. Mars is Mars, typically considered a malefic planet. It's also retrograde, a direction it doesn't normally like to go, and Cancer, a sign it doesn't care for. So a lot of hard things there. And then Chiron as well can also be a bit difficult. Okay, so this is also difficult. What is that? Well, Mars is about action. It's the planet of action. It's connecting to Chiron in Aries, which correlates to Mars, also about action. So this is us finding action very difficult. And not only that, but again, Aries, remember, especially if you've been watching my horoscopes for the past few years, is about easy action, quick action, simple action. It's not about working more, working harder, working all this. It's like easy, quick, short here. And obviously with the South Node now in Virgo, we're having very much difficulty doing that here at this time. Excuse me, that's going on. Difficulty acting in easier, quicker, and shorter ways that are actually going to be beneficial to us, and are feeling stuck. Chiron can indicate that, stuck, or triggered by the things that we do, or like just things aren't working out and like we're not really moving forward, since Aries can be about progress into a different and better experience of life. That's going on here, and like we're still kind of middling, in between, right? Cancer's ruled by the crab. It doesn't move forward, it moves side to side. So still feeling like we're not really making any real progress. That's hard. And this can also trigger us emotionally too, because Mars tends to push things, and Cancer, ruled by the moon, a very sensitive sign. So this can also start to trigger us emotionally again and make us feel, sure, not only anxious and doubtful and uncertain, but sometimes Cancer can bring on scared or fearful or sad, maybe even a little angry with the Mars that's going on, that like still our life isn't moving, nothing's really working here as well. So what this means to me to continue bringing it together is that, yeah, at this new moon in Aquarius, we're trying to, I think, just detach from anything in our life that's not going the way we want it to go and how we want it to go here, and to just, chill and get a different perspective on it so that we're not as bothered by it. And we are doing that in a lot of ways. We are at this moment, in fact, doing that, detaching and getting a bunch of different perspectives about our situation to see about it and think about it differently here that's going on. But even though we're doing that, there's a problem. I think we're getting so many different perspectives, and we're thinking about it so much that we're getting stuck in the head and stuck in all of these ideas, and we're not sure which one to choose, or maybe not choosing the best ones, which is giving us a lot of anxiety and making us doubt our situation, making us fearful, and making us feel like we have to work more, work harder, do more, prove our situation here, prove ourselves in order to get unstuck or get out of this stuff, which is actually the opposite of detaching and letting go here, and is throwing us back into habits that are unhelpful for us, and is making us feel stuck, still unable to move forward, not really where we want to be, triggered, uncomfortable, angry, all of that. Okay, that then leads me now to the next alignment that I want to mention, where things are going to start to get a little bit better. So hang in there with me. This next alignment I want to mention is going to be Uranus here in Taurus, because it is going direct in Taurus in the days after this new moon, which of course is extra significant because the new moon is in Aquarius, which is Uranus sign. What is this all about? Well, Uranus is about Uranus can also be about anxiety and nervousness. Maybe I'll start there when negative, and there definitely could be some of that because it is in Taurus, a sign it doesn't like to be in. It can also indicate anxiety, nervousness, insecurity. Maybe this could even indicate us suddenly and unexpectedly, Uranus is about that, maybe acting out in weird ways that are counterproductive to our situation, which we kind of already knew. Okay, but I think the real focus that I want to bring here is that not only can Uranus bring unexpected anxiety, nervousness, all of that here that's going on, but it can also bring something positive as well, especially because it is starting to regain forward movement. What is that positive thing? Well, Uranus can also bring sudden and unexpected insight, positive things, but to me feel a little bit more like insights here, and feel a little bit more like insights because we're on a new moon, not the full moon. The full moon's to me are a little bit more external here, and because Aquarius or the new moon is a lot about ideas anyways. So a sudden and unexpected helpful idea or helpful realization about our situation. What might that realization be? Well, some of it's Taurus, right? Because that's where Uranus is, even though I think there's more to it. But some of the real positive realization is Taurus. Taurus is a lot about kind of taking it easy, right? It's a fixed earth sign. You know, the typical stereotype for Taurus is that it's lazy, and I mean that in a good way. Taurus doesn't go out of its way for things that aren't important to it, so I think part of the sudden and unexpected realization that we're getting is like, we need to take life easier, right? We don't need to overwork, we don't need to prove ourselves, we just need to like chill. Not only that, but Taurus is a sign of confidence and of self-worth and of believing in our value and our worth, because a lot of times we fall back into doubt and we fall back into overworking when we aren't fully confident in who we are and in our abilities and what we're working towards as well. So this can bring sudden and unexpected ideas, which is really the whole point of this new moon, that like, hey, maybe we need to not work as hard because clearly that's not fixing anything, and maybe we need to stop being doubtful of our situation and develop more internal confidence in what's happening here that's going on. Okay, so I think that is happening there. Maybe to bring that together here before I add one or two more things on, we're almost done now, is that new moon in Aquarius, what we're trying to do with this new moon is detach from anything in our life that's just not going according to plan or not working out in the way that we want it to work out, so that we can get a very unique and different perspective here on it. Here that's going to be more helpful for our future. And in some ways at this new moon that is working, we are getting we are able to detach and get a bunch of different ideas and perspectives about our situation and what's going on that's unique. But even though we are getting a lot of ideas and different perspectives about our situation that's unique, so that we don't feel so bad about what's going on, I think we're getting so many different ideas and perspectives and are staying just too much in the head, thinking things through, that it's really hard for us to think clearly or to pick the right idea or to make sense of all of these ideas that's going on here, which is making us feel just anxious and nervous and uncertain and doubtful of like some of these ideas that we're getting and of our ability to pick the right one, and may throw us back into feeling like we need to engage more with our situation instead of detach, which is really the opposite of what's meant to go on here. And not only do the opposite here and detach, not do the opposite by working harder, but to work harder and to do more to fix our situation, which is not what needs to happen here, which is going to obviously be very uncomfortable and make us more angry. Same issues we've been having, all of that stuff, anger, whatever, here. And out of this frustration of like, still nothing working, still not having the right approach, I think we can suddenly and unexpectedly start to get more of an idea or more of an awareness of what needs to happen next. And I think that idea or awareness that we get, a realization of what needs to happen next, is that we need to stop the overworking and we need to stop the anxiety and we need to stop all these crazy ideas here and instead just take it easy, and not overextend ourselves, and just be confident that we're going to figure it out, here when the time comes. That then leads me now to the next alignment that I want to mention, which is going to be here where Venus is. Venus is entering pre-retrograde shadow in Pisces the day before this new moon, and is coming into a conjunction here with Neptune in the sign of Pisces. Now, in some ways, this is a little bit of a challenge in some ways, because Neptune's involved in outer planet, which can be harder for us here on Earth to understand here, which can indicate confusion and uncertainty and all of that. And also too, because Venus is now in pre-retrograde shadow here, slowing down, losing speed too, which can indicate there's something here that's not really being done to the full extent. So in some ways this can be a challenging thing here that's going on. But even though it can be a challenging thing, in some ways I do think that there's something positive that eventually is meant to come out of it, especially too because it's going to make a conjunction with the North Node as well. But let me start here with some of the challenges here. Neptune can be about confusion. It can be about uncertainty, a lack of clarity. Venus is a lot about money, our sense of self, and things of that sort. So there can still be a lot of lack of clarity, still more confusion about ourself, money, relationships, all of that that's going on. Still not able to see clearly. Okay. Now that's not really too much different than what we've already been talking about here with all this other stuff, but there's just more indicators of that going on. Okay, but what is the good stuff with Venus here conjunct Neptune in the North Node? Well, the good stuff here is that Venus is in Pisces, it's sign of exaltation, where it really likes to be. And I do consider the North Node, which is involved in all of this here, about things we're meant to cultivate more of here at this time here that's going on. So there can be something really positive, and I think something really positive that's starting to emerge. What is in a positive, maybe I might even say more insight. Sometimes to me the North Node can also bring revelations here as well, a positive revelation and insight here that's starting to emerge too. What might that be? Well, I think some of that, before I explain what that might be, I also want to note this seems like it's emerging softly and gently because this is Venus and not Mars, and Venus is going to need like 2 times to go past this. So this isn't like a hitch over the head type of realization. This is like one of these soft ones. It's going to take you like a few weeks to get used to here. And I think this realization, more of a realization that we're starting to have, is more around the Pisces stuff as well. Now Pisces sextiles Taurus, where Uranus is, meaning these signs have something, get along, which means there must be something complementary or similar about them. So Pisces is also a sign of rest. I mean, it actually is the sign of sleeping, sleeping, resting, taking it easy here, that's going on. It's also a sign of hope and faith, and of like having more and more and more of that, which we did talk about briefly in my last video, but it's still going on. Not only is it about that, it's also about compassion, definitely to other people, but a lot to yourself as well, about the things that you have or have not been able to accomplish, or has not worked. Not only that, it's also a lot about healing, emotional wounds from the past too that need to happen. And Pisces as well is also about, what else is also about like unconditional love. Pisces is like a higher octave of love here as well, that's going on, about forgiveness and grace, for ourselves and others here, that's happening. So I think that this is also, still not super clear on our life and what's going to happen next, but starting to get a very slow realization that forcing our situation isn't going to work, that doing more about our situation isn't going to work, and we need to instead continue to relax or let go or not worry about it, and have hope and faith here, and to just be really compassionate to ourselves throughout this process here that's going on, and have a lot of forgiveness and focus on healing the emotions first here in our situation. Okay, so I think that's the realization that we're slowly getting here, and maybe some other thoughts. I think that's the realization that we're slowly getting here, because I think for one thing, like nothing else is working in our situation, right? I think we've tried almost everything, over the course of the past few years, and none of that's working. And so I think part of the reason why we're slowly getting this realization is because we're like, well, we've tried a lot of things and nothing's working, and I don't know what to try, so I might as well rest and relax and just chill because I have no other options. So I think that's why that's starting to emerge. Not only do I think that this is starting to emerge because we literally have tried everything else, and like this is one of the only things that we haven't tried, but I also think that this is emerging as well because I think that this is the thing that's going to get us unstuck, too. The thing that's going to get us unstuck from the past few years to actually get us into a different and better experience of life is one where we heal more emotional wounds, and is one where we're more compassionate to ourselves and others, and one where we, rest and not work so hard, and have more grace. It's that's really going to move us forward, and where we have more faith and hope, because that also kind of changes the way you live your life here as well. That's going on, which is what I think has been missing here. That's going to start to emerge. And I need to note as well, I think that's going to start to emerge more naturally, like whether you want it to or not. But if you want some advice on how to handle this new moon, then that is the advice as well. Venus, Neptune, North Node, Pisces, as well as to cultivate more of that, more trust, hope, and faith, which we talked about last time, by choice here. And also as well, not only to cultivate more of that, but to also consciously choose as well to just rest and take it easy, and to stop forcing and pushing things here, and to just believe that it's going to work out, and to just heal more of the emotional wounds, and to have more compassion for yourself and for the people around you here too. Okay, and that's it. That's all that I'm going to say here for now. Because that's it, I'm just going to repeat that one last time without the jargon. So let me do that. What I think is going on today here going on at this new moon in Aquarius, is that we're really trying to detach from a lot of things in our lives that just still seem stuck, or just aren't going according to plan, according to the way that we want them to go, in order to kind of get a different, unique perspective about how to handle these things and approach them. And in some ways that is working at this new moon in Aquarius. We are detaching a bit, and we are getting a lot of different perspectives about our situation, and about what we can do perhaps next. But even though it is working, we are detaching and getting a lot of different perspectives here. I think that we're getting a little too many different perspectives that are keeping us a little too stuck in the head, overthinking, and that are making it really hard for us to pick one, right? We have so many different thoughts, and to really make sense of which idea will kind of get things moving the most, which can then make us feel a little bit anxious and nervous, and devolve back into like doubt, worry, and uncertainty, and make us fall back into old habits and feel like we need to do more or work more in order to fix our situation, in order to get it unstuck, in order to move it forward, in order to progress. That again can just backfire, because again, that's really not the whole point. The whole point of the new moon is to let go and detach, instead of work harder and do more here. And that can backfire and make us even more stuck, angry, and upset, and all of that, and just confused about like why things aren't coming together in our situation. And from this confusion and stuckness, which I think is all too familiar of a feeling over the course of the past few years, I think we suddenly and unexpectedly start to realize slowly, gradually, a small voice inside ourselves, not a big one here, that maybe, we need to try a different approach to our life that we haven't tried before, because nothing else is working. And that this different approach to life that we need to try before is one where we stop trying as hard, and where we rest and take it easy here, and go more with the flow, and are more compassionate to ourselves, and just have more confidence and belief that things will come together here, which in the end is what is going to fix our situation here that's happening. Okay. Yeah, that's what we get, and which is going to help us. Okay, and that's it. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mention a few other things here to kind of help you make sense of this new moon in Aquarius that's going on, because I like to kind of explain things in my own words. But before I do that, maybe I should just note a few things. Here this weekend has been very interesting for me. My mom is currently over and she wants to have dinner. She's kind of like blowing me up on my phone and things like that. So I'm going to have to make it a little bit short here for that reason. This weekend is actually my dad passed away 16 years ago on Sunday. It was actually on a solar eclipse in Aquarius. So that's part of the reason why she's over. And my dog had a little bit of an accident. I had to take him to the emergency room. So it's just been wild here. Everything's fine. Everyone's fine. But I'm going to have to just make this a little quick here for the time being. But I do have a few other notes I wanted to add here about this new moon in Aquarius. What I wanted to say is that I had two specific points here. At this new moon in Aquarius, we're trying to kind of figure out why we're kind of stuck and not moving forward in our life, especially to get into some new, different, and better experience we've been trying to get to since 2020 and get a totally different perspective here on that, right? That's the main theme. And I think the thought that I want to share with you is that maybe this is just a metaphor. I don't even know if this is really like that interesting a thought, but what I want to share with you is that sometimes when you try so hard to do something, right? When you try so hard to do something and it doesn't work, right? You're kind of forced to do things in a very different way than you were before. And I kind of think that that's what's going on here at this new moon in Aquarius, is that for the past few years since 2020, we've been trying to get to a new and different and better experience of life. It kind of has been working. I think it has. I think we have made progress in some ways, but it hasn't fully worked. And we're now in this confused place where we feel stuck. And I think it's from this confused place where we feel stuck because everything we've tried isn't working, that we're now forced to try something different, very different than what we would have tried before because we tried everything else, right? That's going on. And I think maybe the metaphor that I want to give you that really came to me as I was thinking about this new moon in Aquarius is sometimes about people who are blind or deaf. I was watching this documentary series on Netflix where they interviewed people that have certain experiences in their life that just get a lot of weird questions. They get a lot of weird questions or rude questions. And they basically, someone interviewed these people in this documentary with all these rude questions to kind of like, let's just answer people's questions. And one of the episodes was about people who were blind in particular, and we're interviewing them of like, what is it like to be blind, and to have this experience. And one of the questions they asked a bunch of blind people here was like, because you don't have eyesight, do you now have supersonic hearing, or do you now have supersonic, like super other traits that you're just like a master at because you don't have your eyesight? And I think the responses that a lot of people gave, I mean, they interviewed a lot of people, not everyone had the same answer, but quite a few people said like, I wasn't born with supersonic hearing, or I wasn't born with like extra smell because I'm blind, but I've had to learn how to use these other senses because I could not rely on my eyesight. So I had to rely on these other sights more. Here, sorry, did I say deaf? I meant blind. They were blind. They said because I was blind and I couldn't use my eyesight, I had to rely on my other senses more. And because I had to rely on my other senses more, I just developed them more. They just became more strong because I had to use them more, right? When you use something, it becomes stronger. And so I think that's kind of what's going on here at this new moon in Aquarius. We've been trying to get to a different and better experience of life for quite some time, and it hasn't fully worked. And we now are lacking that clear vision. We're now lacking that clear vision about what to do to move forward, to improve our situation, and are confused. And because we don't have that clear vision about what to do to move our situation forward, we have to try something different than what we've tried here. That's not a skill or a talent or an ability that we normally rely on, and we have to build that one up and make that stronger. So I hope that you can understand what I'm trying to say here through my clumsiness explaining it with everything that's going on here. But that's what's happening. We're confused. We can't see clearly how to fix our situation, and that is forcing us to develop another skill that we did not have before in order to cope, or in order to manage, or in order to get where we need to go in our situation. Okay. That's going on. What is that other skill that we need to develop, right? Or how does that compare and contrast to the skills that we've had? Okay. Well, I think the skills in the past that we've had that we're used to relying on are probably more Capricorn skills, I want to say, because that's where Pluto's been for a long time. And I know Pluto's no longer there, but it's been there for a while. Mars is opposite that, where it's been. So to me, it's still relevant. Capricorn is a lot about structure, tradition, walls, boundaries, seriousness, money, status, success. I think the way that we've been doing things for a very long time has been that: status, money, success, like that. I want to, and I think that's been mixed up. And even though we've been trying to come out of that, a lot of the things that we've been trying to do over the course of the past few years in order to change our life, we've been like, okay, if I change my life in a serious way, if I change it in a structured way, if I change it in a way I can make more money, if I change it in a way I can be more famous or get more status or success in my life, I think that's what we're more familiar with. I think that's more of what we've been trying to do. And I think that's no longer working anymore. That's no longer working anymore. And that's part of the reason why we can't get to where we need to go. And so now we have to cultivate different traits and different abilities, because that's no longer working. And the different traits and abilities, I do think, is the Pisces, right? That's where Venus, Neptune, the North Node is. Also Uranus direct, and it's also the Cancer too, which was the opposite point of Pluto, where Mars is, which is a lot about honoring our emotions. The Pisces and the Cancer are water signs, feminine, the Taurus, it's like honoring our emotions here, healing a lot of emotional stuff, being sensitive to your own needs, not feeling pressured to overwork or to be something you're not, or to make money here. That's going on. So that's the different ability that we're having to learn now, even though I stated it in a clumsy way, as like the different ability we're having to learn here is to stop trying to fix your life in a way that's structured, in a way that's going to get you more money, in a way that's going to look good to other people, in a way that's going to get you the status and the success, in a way that's got a lot of walls and boundaries, in a way that's traditional, right? Capricorn's about stop trying to fix your life in that way, because that's going to lead you astray here, and start cultivating a different skill, a different talent, a different ability, which is to improve your life by honoring your emotions first, by being sensitive first, by being compassionate first, by resting first. It's like that's really what needs to be tried here. And that's what we need to cultivate more of. And that's where all the luck is going to come from here too. And that's the other thought that I want to say. That's not just like, let's all learn a new ability. It's not like, let's just learn new abilities just for funsies. Okay. The astrology is saying, not only do you need to learn this different way of kind of like approaching your situation, but it's saying that different way is the solution. That different way is the solution that's going to get you to where you need to go here in order to make good things happen here, and that it's not a diversion. Resting, being at ease, honoring your emotions, being compassionate is not a sideshow. It's not going to sidetrack you. It is the solution. It is the thing that's going to help you to fix what's going on and move forward, even if it doesn't feel like it, right? Because sometimes you're like, resting, how is that going to move my life forward? You have to trust that it is here that's going on. So that is the solution. Hey, why might that be the solution? The honoring your emotions here and the resting and the being at ease. Well, it's because honoring the emotions, resting and being at ease and going there fully, right? We need to go there fully here is going to help us get more in touch with our heart and with what's truly important to us. Not what we think is important, not what should be important, but what truly is important, which at the end of the day is connecting on an emotional level with ourselves and others here. That's going on, which I think, again, is what's been missing. So I hope a lot of you all are clear on that. This new moon is us realizing that we have no clue how to fully fix our situations in 2020 to get it to where we want to be, because nothing's been working yet. And that because we have no clue what to do, and nothing we naturally have been doing and want to do is working, we have to develop a very different skill, ability, and approach in order to move forward on that. And that very different skill, ability, and approach that we need to move forward is one of resting, ease, trusting in the process, honoring our emotions, going with the flow, compassion, sensitivity, all of that. Instead of structure, seriousness, money, skill, all of that. Here, that's going on, which is going to not be a distraction. It's going to be the solution to your issue, because it's going to connect you more with your own truth and connect you more with people who care and who are on the same wavelength as you, and really to bring some things together. And I also say that too, another thought, because Jupiter is going to move into Cancer in July of this year. And that's a very beautiful thing. It's a very beautiful thing because Jupiter is the planet of gifts and good luck. And also too, because it's exalted in the sign of Cancer, where it really likes to be and functions very, very, very well, which to me is great. It's great to have the planet of gifts and good luck and a sign that it functions extremely well in. Here, which can bring a lot of good things this year, and which is, if you've watched a lot of my other horoscopes, why I've said I like this year so much, a big reason of it. Now, it hasn't happened yet, right? So if some of you are like, I don't really care for my life right now, well, it's like, okay, this is happening in July. We're still here in January. Okay, it hasn't happened yet. And there's quite a few things that are going to change in between now and July Okay, because April's a very significant month, a lot of unprecedented things going on. They're going to bring changes. Okay, but Jupiter's entering Cancer in July, and that's going to bring a lot of good things here that's going on. But these good things are only going to come if we are honoring our emotions and being at ease and not falling back into structure and seriousness and tradition and routine and all of this other stuff here that's going on. Not only do I want to note here is that that's where the goods is coming from, is the ease, the rest, the emotions, the sensitivity, even the compassion here, especially with, you know, Venus going to come retrograde back into Pisces and all of that, which is its sign of exaltation, which is very good too, right? 2 planets in their sign of exaltation coming up in the next few months for a while, which is good. But I also want to note too that this is the good things that are coming this year that I've been talking about. The good things coming this year that I've been talking about. If you've been watching my videos, I'm like, a lot of things I like about this year, they're not Capricorn things, especially because the ruler of Capricorn, Saturn, is going to be in Aries, its sign of fall, where it doesn't like to be. So they're not going to be Capricorn things. What is Capricorn? Capricorn has a lot to do with business, money, status, success. It's not going to be when I say good things are coming this year, that's not what I mean. It's not like, oh, some of you are going to make it rich and some of you are going to have tons of followers and all of that. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that some of you can't do that this year and be successful at it, but the good things that I'm talking about that are coming in July of this year are between April and July. It has to do with Cancer, Pisces, your emotions, you really honoring your emotions, and what that can bring. The good things that are happening this year is like you just feeling more strong in yourself and who you are, you having more of an emotional understanding of who you are. It can also bring as well an emotional revival, you starting to feel very differently about your life and much better, more renewed, more strong. It can bring a big feeling of that. It can also bring you starting to find your family or your soul family, people that feel like family, coming together, build communities. With Uranus and Taurus, that is the really good thing. When I say good things are going to happen this year, that's happening. Not only that, but Cancer is a lot about our foundations in life and feeling like we have a foundation to really stand on. So it's also going to be that, where we're going to start to feel like we finally have a foundation to stand on since 2020 that feels a little bit more solid. Okay, and foundations, which is what Cancer is about, relates to emotions. Sometimes we think, oh, foundations have to do with structures and boundaries and all of that. No, foundations are really different. It's really a more personal internal process here that's happening at this time. So I think that that's what I really want to note, is that the good things that are going on this year is not about status, success, and money. It's about you knowing yourself and who you are better and feeling very differently about yourself and your life in a way that's more positive, and connecting with your soul family or people who are like you and feeling more grounded in a different approach. Okay, and I also want to note as well, that to me is a beautiful thing, you know, that's going to happen. This isn't like a sad thing, like, oh, I'm not going to be rich or have the status that I want. This is a beautiful thing. This is an amazing thing that I think is happening here. And if you feel bad about it, then it may be because you're stuck in this old way of thinking that in order to have a good life, you have to have money or you have to have success. Okay, so I think there's also a big thought there that I want to leave you with. If some of you are looking for this rapid, fast movement towards a different path, this rapid evolution towards something unique and different, that's not this year. That to me is like December of 2027 and really 2028, and maybe after that for a year or two. So like 2028 to 2030 is really when that's going to happen. Okay, if that's what you're looking for. But again, you need to stop equating rapid movement with good things and with success. Okay, money doesn't equal happiness. Okay, success, status doesn't equal happiness. Rapid movement doesn't always equal happiness either. That's the old paradigm. That's the old thing we're trying to get rid of here. True happiness and success comes from personal fulfillment here that we're trying to learn, and that's trying to emerge, and that's which has a huge chance to come this year. So I think that's what I'll leave you with. Maybe to bring all of that together before I move on, this new moon in Aquarius, okay, is we've really gotten to a point where we've tried everything to improve our situation, to get to a different and better experience of life. And it's kind of worked, but not really, leaving us kind of clueless now about what do we do next when everything we've tried hasn't worked. And because we're clueless and we can't see a way forward, we're then forced to try something we've never tried before, or develop a skill and ability about how to move forward in our situation that we haven't tried before, which in this case is not doing much. Resting, relaxing, being at ease, being kind to ourselves and compassionate to other people, and coming together with other people here. That's going on. And not only are we kind of forced to develop that approach because nothing else is working, but that approach is the thing that is going to work to move us into a better experience of life. And not only is the thing that's going to work to move us into a better experience of life, but is the better experience of life. Okay? That is the better experience of life. That is what makes life worth living. Not when you have to prove yourself and work so hard in order to achieve. That's the old way of thinking. Here, but when you are living life because you feel good, because you feel in alignment with yourself, you feel in alignment with who you are, and are kind to yourself and others, and are coming together, right? That is the thing. Okay. Modern society likes to make you think that you're not valuable unless you're working, unless you're always on, unless you're always moving forward, unless you're always moving up the ladder. But that's not always the case, and that's not what's going on right now, and that's not the new chapter we're moving into. You don't have to prove your worth as a human being. You are valuable because you are human. You don't have to do anything as a human being. Be, feel, experience. So I hope there's some of that's coming together, and this understanding of our emotions is going to solidify the new chapter in life that we've been trying to get to, so that not now, but a few years from now, 2028 and onwards, we can have rapid growth in that direction towards personal fulfillment, honoring our emotions and all of that. So I hope that helps a little. Now I'm going to go ahead and look at your inside degrees really quickly here. I'm just going to read one, and that's going to be 9 degrees, the degree of the new moon itself. Okay, they weren't written by me. They were written by someone else named Elias Lonsdale, channeled the meaning of each of these degrees from the spirit. It says 9 degrees Aquarius. The old past-centered facets of life are predominant in this world. Those who take on the thought patterns of this old earth and find themselves immensely trapped in time and space, and in physical form most of all. So this again speaks to the old thought patterns, though the thought patterns of the old earth, finding them trapped, right? This says those of you who have old thought patterns are going to find yourself trapped. And what are those old thought patterns to me? Capricorn, where Pluto's been for a long time, even though I know it's still not there. Which is, I'm not truly living life unless I have money. I'm not truly living life unless I have success and status. That's the old world, okay? And the more you think that, you're going to be trapped. Or the old mindset is that I'm not truly living life unless I'm moving up fast, right? Old mindset going to keep you trapped. Okay? It says, yet in the very midst of thinking and operating in this rationalistic way, you are subtly and secretly fostering a great wealth of new earth consciousness, of fresh ways of seeing, okay? What is new earth consciousness? What is fresh ways of thinking? I think it's Cancer. I think it's Pisces. Ease, rest, peace, faith, compassion for everyone, nurturing ourselves, the greatest among us, the smallest among us, compassion for everyone. And Cancer loves to nurture. Pisces loves unconditionally. That's the new way forward. Maybe even creativity also being involved. It's like, that's the way, the new way. Okay. It says, by relentlessly exposing yourself to the rigors and consequences of the mentally based world, you come to the edge where the way to liberation becomes so sharp, then the deeper seeing comes up to give you the space and breath. So not only, to me, is this saying the old ways of thinking are going to keep you stuck, there's a new way of thinking that's better, but it's saying that there eventually comes a point when you've been exposed so much to this old way of thinking that you can no longer accept that old way of thinking, and you become kind of forced to do things differently. There's a sharp edge where you have to kind of do things differently. It says, let's read on. It says, it's quite a process to live between cycles, bridge divergent worlds, and feel the necessity of keeping it all going. But truly the soul is witnessing each dangling moment and preparing to go free when the season is right and the prison doors open of themselves as the karma is completed, the unknown calls you onward. So it does say this is difficult. This is difficult to do here, and may take us a while to fully overcome, but that eventually when the time is right, we're going to break free from this and move forward. And I think that the time is getting closer to being right to break free from these old habits. We're probably going to need Venus to finish going retrograde around April which is part of the reason why April is such an important time frame for me, and July, when Jupiter enters Cancer and a bunch of other things. So I hope you understand there, and I hope that puts into better perspective what I've been saying here in this video. We got to get out of this old way of thinking, and we got to get into a different way. And Aquarius is trying to give us this unique thought here. And another thing too, we need to stop mistaking the two, because sometimes that can also happen as well. We can kind of conflate the two, and we can say, oh, well, nurturing myself is making money. Honoring my emotions is being rich and successful. That's what my emotions want, right? Sometimes we can conflate the two as well. And it's like, we got to stop. We got to let go of these old mindsets. We got to stop conflating the two, which I think can happen a little bit with the Jupiter and Gemini. And we got to go all in on this different experience, which is eventually going to happen. Not yet. April to July, when we're finally going to start to realize structure, walls, tradition, not going to work. Seeking only money and success, not going to work. We got to do something else, and we can't keep mixing the two and pretending that we're not seeking those things when we really are. Okay. So what I'll say now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull your card. So you can go ahead. I didn't have any other time to film this weekend, so that's why I'm kind of doing it now. But okay. My mom says she's ready for me to make dinner. So, all right. What we've got here is the Four of Swords reversed. Here and at the bottom of the deck, we've got the Ten of Pentacles upright. Okay. What is this about? Well, it's funny. The Four of Swords is about resting. It is a card about resting. It is a card about being at, trying to be at ease here. And when it's reversed, to me, it's like difficulty. We're having difficulty resting. We're having difficulty being at ease. And even if we are resting and being at ease, we're keeping one eye open here about our situation. So I see that here that's going on. The Ten of Pentacles to me is very Capricorn. So it's like 10 to the fullest extent. It's like we've done the money, right? The Pentacles are also money. We've done the money, the seriousness, the structure to the fullest extent. Now we need to cultivate different skills and abilities, rest, ease, chilling. This dude's just hanging here, but we're having difficulty doing it here, and or doing it a little and not a lot to the full extent that we need, and it's time. You know, another thought that I'm getting here is you can either choose to be at ease or you can be forced to. You know what I mean? Like, there comes a time, you know, the only constant in life is change, is evolutionary change. And evolution, the world is changing. And the world is not changing towards tradition. It's not changing towards the rich becoming richer. It's not changing towards traditional values, traditional, whatever you want to consider that. It's not. It's moving in a different way, and it's moving towards unconditional love, towards everyone and all types of people being accepted and being loved and being nurtured, and about the way to solve the world's problem being through nurturing and banding together instead of dividing people. Okay, the world is changing, whether we like it or not, and that's the way it is changing towards. And you can either choose to go that way or you can be forced. You know, really, that's the way it is, because change will always happen whether you like it or not. And so you can either choose to rest, choose to be at ease, which I also conflate with unconditional love, nurturing, all of that. You can choose that, or you can be forced to do it. And if I were you, I'd probably want to choose to do it here instead of be forced, because that's the easier way to make it happen. So I think that's the advice that I'm going to leave with you here. Got to get rid of these old ways of thinking and behaving that are structured, tradition, money, status, and success once and for all. Got to get rid of these, be done with them here, and move towards different ways, rest, easy, nurturing, unconditional love. And you got to choose to do it, because if you choose to do it, it's going to be a lot easier than feeling like it's been forced on you from experience or from the outside here. That's happening, because that's where we're going. So that's what I'm going to say there. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful for you. Thank you for staying there with me. I wish you all the best. And I'll talk to you 2 weeks from now on the next video for that full moon in Leo. I hope you have a good one.